got no reason. And you know what? They don't need it. Short people, you don't need a reason. You came here to learn this. You were brought into this short stature for the sole purpose of that. All of us are looking for someone taller. You don't know this, but it's true. All of us are looking for someone taller. And if we can't find one, we're just like, fuck, I guess it's me. And it's a very reluctant place to be. Not a lot of people really want to be here. Or be there in your case. And we create excuses to turn around and go back. We create obstacles to remain. And ultimately, the lesson here is that none of you guys have any reason for being here. None of you have a codified absolute authority, a letter vested in something that says, look, you're supposed to fucking do this. None of us have any kind of guidebook. None of us. And I've thought a lot about this. If you were God and you wanted people to have a guidebook here, if you wanted them when they came here to have sort of a check-in sheet, a sort of welcome letter to the big greenhouse, that there were a million trillion better ways to create this guidebook than sort of gambling on the idea that theism might happen to develop in the desert, and that a bunch of really insane pagans God, I love them too, but might actually write down shit correctly and might actually have my will installed through their own codex. That is one way. If you're a retarded deity, this is the way that you are going to instill a rule book that you feel that if people do not have this rule book, they are fucked. And you're putting their fuckedness, their righteous fuckitude, in the hands of a bunch of pagans that aren't even Christians yet, and that you're hoping that they will develop the written words, the phonetics, and all the interpretive history that you've heard. Every 20 years, the newest version of feminism comes in and riots against the what is written, and it's reformed. And then if you do this long enough, we call it Hellenism, and we're fine with it. We're like, oh, thank God for Hellenism. Oh, if it wasn't for Hellenism, none of us would be ready for enlightenment. And it's the only reason why that worked is because we had to stupefy everyone. We had to put everyone on the same frequency. You had to get them all on the same radio station. And this is truly the meaning of government. This is really what government means. You know this, that government means the management of mind. You know this. I'm not telling you anything different, but can you understand, can you fathom that Epstein is government? Epstein is government. The entire story of Epstein is government itself. What colloquial plasma that none of us can touch will all of us consume, stop, recognize, memorize, and patent inside of our codex as having meaning is government. And one of the greatest ideas of what government is, hey, there's a God out there that you just haven't been told about it yet. This is like a really good form of government. So a dude in a really tall fish hat comes up and says, hey, man, I know that you want to go into that cloistered tower over there because those are the cleanest nuns around because they allow their lady bits to remain fallow for a moon. But it turns out I've got something that will turn you on even more. And people are like, more? How can you say more than the nunnery? And the guy goes, I'm talking about everlasting life. That I have spoken to the Dalai Lama. And I said, hey, how about something for the effort? And that God promised me that if I wore this Pope hat and I came down and I spoke to you, that we would have this onomatopoeia viescita, right? Yeah, onomatopoeia. Some of you guys don't know about this. Onomane is a soybean product, and you put that in a pita, and you have onomatopoeia. You didn't know that, did you? You learn these things here. Nowhere else. None. I don't know how the connection's doing. I hope you guys are doing well. Obviously, last time I streamed, we had a little bit of issues. I hope you're having a great Friday, though. I'm sure enjoying being here on this place. I am mocked by the folly of Epstein. I'm mocked by the fact that this isn't going away. And at the same time, I tell you that I'm constantly working on my posture when it comes to any time I feel or find myself either uncomfortable about the situation or preaching orthodoxy. This is just a form of cortisol. No one knows what, so we got to preserve the sacred meaning of this word, or we have to do this, or we have to fix this, or there ought to be a law, or someone needs to do something, or clearly you need to buy this course and invest in some sort of this product. And that all those things are government. All these things were offshoots of what is it that's going to command our mind. And it turned out for a while, I could bring a cow with a bell on its neck into town, and I could skin graft the side of that cow's ass, and I could offer to sell the pusticles that are growing there and to inject them into your kid. I could offer that as a fucking service. And over half of you said yes. Like, well over half of you said yes. James, I'm not responsible for my forefathers. Just my forefathers. I'm not going that far back. And I'm like, God bless you. This is why we don't remember past lives. This is why we don't remember we're the same dolphin, because we want to look at the other dolphin and go, that dolphin's a fucking asshole, but not me. I got the right kneecaps. I got the right situation going. And this is truly at the heart of what government is, because the idea is you're sitting there at night and now the cow has left the village and you're going, fuck, did I just miss the only opportunity I have to protect my family now? Am I vexed? Priscillicus? And Priscillicus is like, oh, husband, you cannot be vexed, because if you were vexed, I would be married to one who is vexed, and that is impossible. And he's like, oh, thanks, babe. And that's government too. That the nuclear family, the patriarchal family, the job, the cubicle, the suit, the tie, the lighting, the lack of lighting, whatever it is, all these are part of government. You know this too. And sure, we're scrolling on our screens, but we've been doing this for a long time because Elvis started this whole idea that everyone's going to pay attention to one thing. Look at me over here, red laser pointer, moving my hips, pumping my pelvis, I'm gonna control the government mind. And this is what we learned a long time ago, that if you want to fucking rule the village, you're going to have to walk in a really, really witch doctor-y kind of uniform. And a cow with skin grafts is one of those ways. This was just one of many ideas. I've told you about we found an ancient Oriental. James, you can't call them Oriental. I know, but back then they could. So we found an ancient. I'm trying to be authentic here. Stick with the program. Eyes on you. That a long time ago, we found an old Oriental woman and we took the dried pus from her fucking nose and we dried it in the sun and we said prayers over it. And then we crushed it up in a powder with a razor blade and we did lines on it. And then we told your kids to fucking snort it. And because Lady Gagaspoon went to Turkey and saw someone do this on the street, she comes back to the royal court and says, I saw the most intriguing thing I've ever seen. And they're like, oh, what is it, Lady Gagaspoon? And she's like, we were doing snorting lines of oriental nasal pusticles dried under the sun, but only allowed to dry between noon and forenoon. And then they're like, what is forenoon? And Lady Gagaspoon, she's like, I will show you the sacred chamber chart. And that the Enochian magic starts to lock itself in because people start to say, there has to be something to this. Do you know why people say there has to be something to this? Because it excites their mind. It tickles their balls. So, tickles the illuma clitoris if you don't have balls. It tickles your ovicles. It tickles your gonadianska. It's mentally, it creates a governmental lighthouse that says that felt good. It felt good. It felt good to have something that enticing in my mind. And when something feels good that has something that enticing in your mind, like everlasting life, like our nuns, do not make it burn when you pee. This is everlasting life. That you as a sailor, when you find out that if you just spend just a little extra piece of silver, walk a little bit away from the dock, guys. You need to think about your children here, okay? We know you've been on the water a long time, but maybe don't hit the first whorehouse. You wanna go into the city a little bit. You're gonna see a cloistered tower. You're gonna see a tower that's got a sign that says, "Hey, we're closed. Nuns. It's fish day." What is fish day? It's the nuns are they're chilling out for a while. And this idea could only be spread because of government. It could stop. Stop insisting there's a separation of church. Do you know why government tells you that they're separate from the church? So you won't think they're a church. Don't you see? That's how science works. Science is like, well, even though we're the management of all that's known in the mind, that's not government, James. That's very different. Because science, even though it's the study of what is known, not the study of what is true, it's what is known would be the things that are in the mind. So science is the study of government, and government is just religion. But it's the religion that says we're separate from religion, which means it puts it in this magical, hypothetical place that's somehow more pristine, that's somehow better than you, somehow better than me. And it gives us this power. It lights this lantern. It gives us this fire. It tells us, this is government. You believe in things that you want to drink more of. Do you not? I believe in that. What do you believe in? This glass of water, I believe in it. How could you believe in a glass? Because it minds my govern. What do you mean it minds your... It minds my mental state. It manages my mental state, which is the meaning of government. I looked through the comments of the last Epstein episode where I laid out several reasons. And yet one of the comments, I think his name was Tim, he first thought that I deleted his comment, and that's not true, but I could see how he thought that because we had a live stream and then because I have internet problems. Let me know in the chat, by the way, if the video is okay. But that I was deleting his comments because I was trying to hide the truth from you guys, that the truth being that Epstein's real and that I was the one that was secretly trying to ruin this. I was trying to destroy it for you guys. That I was trying to destroy all the things that great are going to happen if you and I believe that Epstein is de facto as it's presented. And he said, James, the only reason that you've given, the only one out of all the reasons that I gave, by the way, the only one that seemed to sink, that seemed to matter at all was because something about getting laid. And, you know, it's interesting that out of all the points that I made, he picked the one that was the most salacious to the mind, the idea of getting laid. And this was the only point he could retain. This is why I tell you, you can never buy a good cup of coffee in a shop that sells fudge. That if you're going to sell fudge, you're going to have to probably taste the fudge. If you go to Smoky Mountains, you'll know what I mean. And that if you're going to be tasting fudge, you are no longer qualified to be a barrister of any kind. You do not have taste, flavor. You have been tuned into a special kind of place where literally the only thing that is going to appease you is texture. Why? Because the sugar has exploded the very capillaries in your tongue that has started a shock in your system, and that shock has been recorded as flavor, which means that you equate fudge and shock as sweet. You think that's sweet. Why do you think that's sweet? Because it's sent to you through sugar. But it's free-base sugar. It's ready for the system, right? It's not sugar from concentrate, which is a whole other thing. And these truths are not knowable because they're too embarrassing. I'm not going to be able to bring the person that first thought his comments were deleted, and then bring him back to the idea that no, I actually said several more things. I could even have him look at AI, look at the transcript, because I was like, is that really the only thing I said? And the AI is like, well, here are the points that you brought up. And they're pretty simple. They're pretty simple, but they're not palatable. And because they're not palatable, because they are inside of a spectrum that does not include fudge, they are not going to be acceptable in this world. There's a idea going around that society is on your side. And I want you to hear something. We live in a greenhouse. It's perfect. And society's not on your side. Society is here to engage whatever it takes to make sure that your brain itself, is satisfied by the constellations it's firing, by the limbic experiences that it has, causes your brain to fire in certain ways. And that if you fire deeper crystals that fire other crystals, it just feels better. It has a deeper flavor to it. You're naturally tuned with an addiction to exposure, an addiction to new information. This is the parable of news. This is why long after the rumor of, hey, there's an invisible God wandering around, that we started to notice that something that's even more effective than that is just what is new. That when I'm presenting to you, I have new evidence on Epstein, I am suggesting to you that if you were to listen to me, I would be able to take the greatest vein in your brain full of the most gold and show you a way to make it deeper. And that this is the entire experience that is on your plate. This is the entire thing that you are consuming right now. You think it's the subject itself. I am actually literally talking to all of you, and me too. I realize this sounds insulting. And I'll start off by saying, I'm sorry it feels that way. I literally think this is how humanity works. This is how experience works. And that you build the facade, you take the furniture, the words, the concepts, the structural social laws, and you wrap the meaning inside of those things because it holds them. Just like fudge is stuck to that wax paper, you need something to contain this thing in so it could be transported to the other side, so it can be shared with others in little samples like, I've got a new take on Epstein. And I am guilty too because I have a new take on Epstein. But my take is actually the same take I've had since Blueprints of Mind Control, which is, what is government? What truly is government? And we halfway understand it. We halfway understand it because we're insisting that someone else is actually in charge of what makes that governmental thing work. And it's not, it's you. It's you deciding what is the most beautiful butterfly in this field that you're going to follow all day. And I don't want to take that away from you. I trust nature so much that I believe that even us going into limbic territory that involves pedophilia and skull islands and elite people controlling the world and all these weird ass fucking concepts of someone who is seeking the light, who bears the light, who has an organization called the Bringers of the Light, and that all those people are actually evil. See, I have a problem with this because it sounds like masturbation. It sounds like victim masturbation. And I think one of the biggest clues that I see in this in the world is people listening to not only anonymous foxholes, holes in trees, but holes in trees that have since the dawn of 1861 and later 1865, when AP and Reuters were both founded, has done nothing but fucking lied to you since you found the hole. It's going to take a certain amount of respect for us to simply look at the hole and be embarrassed by what we drink. We are not there yet. We are not there yet, collectively. And if you look at what's trending on TikTok, this is not a sermon. It's showing you where we are. And that truly the channels that are at the top of what is considered popular, if you look at their average mental age, this is not a sermon, this is not a judgment, I'm just literally telling you the statistics. It tells you 12-year-old boy that Mr. Beast, just for example, Mr. Beast is Beast's target audience, the audience that has the largest amount of influence over the government mind is a 12-year-old boy. Does this sound wrong to you? Or does this sound spot the fuck on? Because to me, it sounds spot the fuck on. And to me, it sounds spot the fuck on because I trust the garden. And I think that information is here, not to judge, not to make me feel bad, but to inform me about what I'm seeing. And so when I look at what becomes popular, it's why I relate it to the wrestling machine. It's why I relate it to this concept of we need to put on a show. And if someone wants to put on a show, that doesn't mean they're evil, because I do not think that people who wander around, who perform in theaters, when you buy a fucking ticket to go to that show, are evil because they're deceiving you. I think you have a problem personifying your imagination in the world because the theater of government doesn't have a room you enter where all the lights are gone, where you don't know what time it is outside, where you watch this political drama and then you leave. So you don't get to leave the theater. This is the only thing. This is the only difference. And so when you look at Epstein, you're looking at what would a 12-year-old boy believe? And a 12-year-old boy is going to believe that the world is controlled by evil men who are incapable of being laid, that have no choice but to find a billionaire hedge fund guy who happens to be the only billionaire around them who has access to snatchy poo. And that by getting that access through this other billionaire, not one of these evil billionaires who controls the world ever considered that, hey, maybe I'm being filmed, maybe I'm being blackmailed, or maybe I should fucking kill Epstein. That not one of us has considered in the 12-year-old mind that maybe this is a fucking ruse. That maybe this is a ruse. And it can't be a ruse because I do not offer you something better. I do not. That's the only reason why. The only reason why this truth that is plainer than day, it is plainer than the plainest of day, doesn't hit is because it does not taste as good. That's it. It's not about me. It's not my lack of shirt. It's not my lack of hair. I'm charismatic as fuck. I am good on my feet. I'm spontaneous. I have an excellent track record. I'm a hell of a writer. It's not fucking me. You're looking at what a 12-year-old boy does, what a 12-year-old boy wants to think about. Because honestly, if you believe this Epstein story, you're either thinking one of two things. A, he can't get laid. That no elites who live in the world can get laid. That they can't find anyone to satisfy them, so they have to find some other, which, by the way, elite billionaire to tap in on that. Or B, they could, but it just never occurred to them that if they went to an island that maybe another elite billionaire wouldn't somehow try and blackmail them. That never occurred to them. That when you're a billionaire and you want to get laid, the first thing you want to do is climb on a 16-hour jet ride to an island, a rinky-dink island in the Bahamas, to sit in a utility closet, even if it has a 6-foot elevator that goes underground, to go through all of that when you have absolutely every single thing you could want at your fingertips. Guys, I'm not a billionaire. I can tell you stories of people that have showed up on my house completely unannounced with marinated steak that were willing to do literally anything I've said. I've been offered situations, too many to count. And I can't tell you because it sounds like I'm bragging. And you know what? It never impresses me. I'm always like, oh God, why are you behaving this way? They're behaving this way because it's the 12-year-old boy. That you're looking at a conglomerate. You're looking at an entity that is beautiful and hasn't even hit their teens yet. 12 doesn't even have the word teen in it yet. We haven't even begun. And when we look where we are, I don't think you guys understand how much a fucking precipice this precipice really is. And a lot of people, I don't think, can see it because they are terrified, because they are scared. And they're scared not because of the truth, not because of anything else, but because of the government around them, because of how many people have to fucking insist that the same foxhole that lies to you every fucking day somehow is not lying about this, that somehow this is different. And you enter into a 12-year-old binary, like with Tim, who said basically, because I happen to think that Epstein probably was not running this, hey, I'm providing billionaires with a service that they cannot find anywhere, and I'm using it to blackmail them, is such a childish idea that it's just not palatable for someone who's just seen the world, who's just watched how this works. Because one of the most dangerous things that I have in my books and in my ideas is just how fucking responsible you and me are for what government is. Because there are people that are coming online in this world that have to socially connect to survive. You and me are one of them. And that in order for us to socially connect to survive, you're going to have to buy into this fucking culture, this Piscean culture, that the only way anyone around here could ever succeed is if they're an elite billionaire pedophile that can't get laid, that has to run to Epstein to do it. And I've tried as delicately as I can to tell you how professional hunters in the FBI work. That I've been showing you this since before Epstein even happened. And it's the exact same blueprint, which, if anything or not, really proves that I should be buffing my fingernails over this entire situation as it keeps to unfold. Because if you're hunting something from a federal level, if you're at a federal level and you're looking for criminals, you are setting up honeypots, you are posing as 13-year-old girls, you are doing every fucking thing you can to try and elicit something else. Now, you have a politician that's been told you can lie whatever the fuck you want to do to lie, and all you got to do is get here in the White House. And once you do, then you have access to the most powerful federal Bureau of Investigations that's ever been made. And we're supposed to believe that somehow that isn't corrupt? That somehow that there's not a political motive to what we consider, or more importantly, what we don't consider? And more importantly, if we understand that all this is true and that really it is just a deep state, that ultimately all this is good and that all we have to do is find the white whistleblower, and if we keep defining ourselves by whistleblowers that simply reinforce the same government story, that all we're doing is insisting that all of us have to believe in the same church, which means if you're a truther and you see that Kathy O'Brien's full of shit, you're in for a lonely fucking road. You're not going to find me. You're not going to be able to go out there and, oh, I need someone. You're not going to even know. You're not even going to know I exist. You're going to think, well, if I want to be awake, then I have to believe this. And if I want to be asleep, then I have to not. And that's the only way it can fucking be. Guys, Epstein was a hedge fund. He had $1 billion hedge fund. You know who gave him the hedge fund? Fucking Mossad. Maxwell. I've spoken, I've written about all this. All the salaciousness is there, but it's boring. Do you know why it's boring? Because I'm showing you that the combined political budget of the Democrats and the Republicans is like $250 million, and Epstein has $5.6 billion. I'm sorry, Maxwell has $5.6 billion. And that if you want to influence politics, you don't give to your politician. You just fucking spend more money than they do. And how do you spend more money? You give it to Epstein. Why do you give it to Epstein? Because you're looking for data. You're looking for information. Why? Because you're Mossad, but you're not Mossad. Because Maxwell, you can't be Mossad and be in Mossad. You don't even understand how it works because you're looking at a blackmail economy that literally does run on the fact that I can't fucking trust you. And we're saying that all the people that know they can't trust each other decided to trust Epstein and to come to his island to do this. And it happens to satisfy every 12-year-old boy's fantasy around the world. But I'm the crazy one because I have the nerve to fucking doubt the same foxhole that's been lying to us since World War I, since the Civil War. And this is where it's at. This is really where it's at. It's showing you what government is. And government is rumor. Government is superstition. Government is this is how it works. This is what's happening. And the people who run government probably fucking know that. Not only do they know that, but they've probably inserted certain psyoptical tentacles into storylines. And they started to notice, hey, if I don't just plan a story that gives fear to somebody, what if I tell people what they want to hear? Holy shit, there's an even better hook. And so if you have this concept, if you have a book by Michael Aquino, who most truthers would never even touch with a 10-foot pole because his eyebrows are too big, and he literally happens to believe in Egypt. He happens to think Egypt is cool as fuck, and he calls his religion Egyptian. And because he has big eyebrows and because he has Egyptian, he wrote the book that published This Is How You Do It. It's called Mind War. I've done talks on it. I've described it in live streams here. Yet we're still coming back with people like Tim that say, James, you've given zero evidence for why any of us should somehow skeptically doubt a story about a billionaire submarine cult with pedophile children where all the bad people can't get laid, but they have to come here and get laid, and that they accidentally get blackmailed because they never once considered they could be blackmailed because this is how the fucking world works. And the entire time you're masturbating on the fact that those who have no power must be good because those who have power have to be bad. And this is a fetish you have with removing your own power. You were in love yourself with having no power at all. And this is government. This is the entire source of government, is what I just told you. That your fear of your own power allows you to go up to anonymous foxholes and say, can you just give me something better than the guilt or lack of responsibility I fear for not harnessing my own strength, my own Excalibur, and the only thing that's going to make you feel better is, well, there's this Apple penis dude who turns out gets everyone who's evil laid. Yeah, they have sex with only one girl. You heard Kathy O'Brien. Fuck, she's on Demi Dore. It must be true. Penguin Zero talks about it. Joe Rogan talks about it. It's got to be true, dude. It's got to be true. So what choice do you have? I'm asking. If you're 19, if you're 25, if you're coming online now in this world, you're an 8K kid and you're coming online, you can't just do this stuff yourself. You'll die of atrophy. You'll die of atrophy while the truthers are saying, see, everyone could be sovereign. No, you fucking can't. You can't wean yourself. You're going to have to tap into the government of the mind, and you're going to have to figure out really quick, this is a 12-year-old boy. I'm drinking the milk from a 12-year-old boy's nipple. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. And you know why it's hard to admit? Because each of us have that nipple in our mouth and we're looking at each other like, this is not a 12-year-old boy. No, it's not. Here, have some more Epstein. And it fucking works. You know why it works? Because that is the definition of government. I'm not preaching at you. I think that this is why you have to have more faith in the entire system, because quite frankly, it's a fucking miracle that we can be this retarded and still somehow survive. And this is why I have to trust in the eternal fractal that's inside, because I think the mitochondria are a lot wiser than we are, because they're not so invested in their own neocortex to insist, well, it has to be fucking true because everyone's saying it. And I'll tell you something, in an upside down world, everything that people are saying is probably not true. It's probably not. It could be, but it's probably not. And I can't even have conversations with you because one of you will pin me and go, well, now he's using words like true when he says all things are subjective. And it's like, there's no disagreement here. Your concept of what you call true would be here out of all the utilitarian things I can do in my life. This is what I believe that would work the most. It's called basic American philosophy, which most of you don't even know is a word. Why you don't know it's a word? Because we're listening to Stitchin', we're listening to frickin' Epstein, we're listening to anything else but this, because there's a secret fucking sex tape with Biden's kid on it. And if this gets out and if people admit it, then the whole system's going to change. And guess what? It got out and the whole system didn't change. How many times are we going to burn down Hollywood exactly? Do you want to count for me? Because Hollywood's actually literally the definition of that wood is something that regenerates really well after a fire. So tell me again how we are winning here by exposing Epstein. How two of the biggest fucking yahoos in the truth department can land on Epstein Island and there's not a fucking police line. There's not an agent there. There's not locked up. There's not a fucking court order taped to the wall. They're wandering around looking at paper clips. That's how dumb they are. That all they can do is, we found paper clips. We stole Epstein's paper clips. So we won. Project Paperclip's real, man. Project Paper. And it's everyone's just fine because 12-year-old boy in fucking engaged. It's a gear. I think we're growing, but I think that if you look at how long it takes for this to grow, it's something outside of your lifetime, out of my lifetime. I'll just say that. So that's why I think you really have to understand that, look, you're watching nature do something profound. It's degenerate and it's profound. It's probably fueled by its degeneracy, to be honest with you. It's probably part of it. And if you can relax more, but you're not going to be able to relax more if you're believing all this shit. But if you can relax more, you can actually listen and go, what the fuck did I just hear? What did I just hear? Because the next time, 8 months ago, a year and a half ago, whenever this started, I never factored in or computed how much fun people were going to have believing in this. It never crossed my radar, and I learned a valuable lesson about not just myself, but about how the world works. That this world, truth is ingrained in flavor. It's ingrained in the pop culture of it all. And if I try and tell you that the very top of this, that this is not actually connected to elite, all you have to do is say, well, I know that he sexually assaulted a girl, so James, you're clearly wrong. And that's the binary. That's the 12-year-old binary. Which is why this world's not, I mean, I hate to say it, but the AI was right. This world's not really ready for this kind of message. It's just not, it's not really there. And honestly, the people that are ready for this message, I don't know how many of them are watching YouTube. I think a lot of them are probably just doing stuff, you know? I think a lot of you are doing stuff. And that's good. In a way, me wanting more of that audience would be wanting more of the 12-year-old. So this is why I'm like, I can't even rest in the sovereignty principle of this. I'm too much of a symbiotic. I think all of us are, but we just can't admit it. Just like I think all of us like Epstein because it tastes better than anything else. And ultimately, guys, this is where your primary definition of what truth is going to be. And it should be, because your brain will die without atrophy. It will die without these things. And when you hear these stories, it's the exact same engine as porn, Epstein. What if I was to tell you that the entire thing is just reality porn? I told you about the invention of the term reality terrorism. It was a in-depth episode, honestly, about this couple that manufactured the Osama bin Laden story, and that they had manufactured a lot of the Guantanamo Bay torture stuff too. If I tell you they manufactured it, then you're going to think that means that no one was tortured. And I'm like, dude, I don't know why you're saying that. I'm telling you that people, this is why they keep winning, is because you just find, like Nicholas Cruz in Parkland, you find, here's a kid who has violent tendencies. He's on our radar. Why don't we see if we can trigger this? Let's have an active fire drill and let's trigger this guy and let's see if he shows up. And if it works, this is the FBI winning. They won. They won. Not only did the FBI win, but think about the Democrats who controlled that party when they started to say, we need a budget for a school shooting PSYOP. And I think so many of us are confused because you hear PSYOP and you think that I'm here to tell you that everything's an auto hoax, which is why you don't see a lot of me, because I'm so nuanced. See, I think that that's retarded. I think that's a 12-year-old insisting that everything's an auto hoax because it's like me. I'm saying to you that the FBI they want to hunt again. They want to fish again. which means why would any of them blow their own career just to do this? They're going to do things by the book, which means there's going to have to be a systematic armature in place that says we want to stage this. That's why the Secret Service was there. That's why they came there. And you can't even really say that Nicholas Cruz was a victim, because if you do that, I need you to go on Chris Hansen's show, and I want you to say that every single person that got snagged into a pedophile capture ring, that those were victims too. See, the government isn't even telling you those are the same. We're not capable of seeing those are the same. And part of this, I think, comes down to not respecting the ancestral lies that we've swallowed as other dolphins and just couldn't admit. Kennedy is one. The space program's another. The invasion at Normandy, where every platoon's radio was rerouted into a central command known for their ghost war, for their ability to create fake war, and that 19 people controlled the entire operation, and none of them was a general, that all of them were undercover ops. But see, we have to wait for World War II people to die before we can talk about this, because they're going to come up and say, no, it's true. Here's a bullet. I was there, and I can't do anything, because a 12-year-old binary mind is just going to think, well, here's proof. Which is why the truth community keeps missing this idea. They need a psyop that everything's a lie. And so they're going to call it everything's a lie. Unless it's Epstein. Unless it's Assange. Unless it's Drake. Remember? If you haven't looked at my old episodes, this is not new fucking territory for me, ladies and gentlemen. I come from a poli-sci background. Originally wanted to be a political cartoonist, because I've always noticed how politics works and always been like, holy fuck, what the hell is going on here? And it's taken me this long to really realize that what's going on isn't broken. What's going on is a 12-year-old boy is in charge. And he's got all the glue. He's got all the plasma. He's got all the popsicle sticks of everyone who doesn't want to hold that power themselves. That's where it's at. That's what's going on. So, if you want to catch more of me today, if you're a member of Patreon, you can listen to me and Miguel are going to have we're going to record a conversation today, and then it'll come out later. So, but if you're a patron, you can check it out early. So, join my Patreon if you want. Hope you enjoyed the Friday. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't think that I'm going to be able to function in this. Hey, I think that the Epstein story is kind of full of shit. That I think this guy's a sexual predator. Yeah, I'll give you that. But I don't think he controls elites or holds a secret list. Sorry. And you're going to win, not me. Because I'm not going to be able to come up with something else. I'm not going to be able to come up with something more enticing than that. It's got literally everything. So it's, I don't know what I'm going to do. I get it. It's part of the lesson. It's part of it. It's kind of beautiful. That's why I say I have to trust the system. I have to. Miguel and I will be talking about AI and what happens there. And I think AI will be taking over what I do anyway. I mean, it already is. It's already happening. The government is already there. Steve Bannon knows what he's doing. Man, that guy knows what he's doing. And see, I don't like him, but I respect what he's doing because I'm learning from it. This is the true senpai's relationship with sensei. What if I was to tell you that senpai learns more if he doesn't even like sensei? Like, there's a fucking sign of growth. When you don't like Satan kicking the shit out of you down here, but you're still watching him, you're still learning, you still have your eye on the ball the whole time. This is how you impress God. This is how you rise above 12-year-old boy. See you next time, Dave's True Live. Oh, wait. I didn't do it. I'm going to do this.